with Corbin. I am your host. This is Book Talk with Corbin. I am your host. I just saw a very disturbing video, and it's a video where I'm not going to drop names because I'm really trying to just ask questions here. There is a collegiate female athlete who goes to different college campuses and speaks against having biological men who claim they're women competing in women's college sports. She says it is unfair on all levels. And she also says that her and other female athletes feel very uncomfortable, even to some degree violated, when a grown man walks into their locker room naked. And the universities allow this to happen. Now, if I was a man and if I just walked in a women's locker room naked, they would not allow that. But if I'm a man who claims that I am a woman or I'm transitioning to be a woman, it's okay. Somebody explain that to me. I don't understand it. I'm black and I'm slow, and so you're going to have to use one-syllable words. I honestly don't get it. Also, at this particular what I just saw were the so-called transgender activists violently attacking this woman. At one point, one guy who claims he was a woman, he hit this woman not once, not twice, but several times in the face. They intimidated her to the point where she was in a closet, small room, locked in there for 3 hours before campus security came in to basically rescue her. Now, that's sort of like a particular level of kidnapping. But here's my question. And this is a question to the so-called black civil rights leadership here in Louisville, Kentucky. Do you condone that kind of violence, or do you condemn that kind of violence? I mean, I don't care who it comes from. If it comes from the Ku Klux Klan or these transgender activists, do you think that kind of violence is justified, ever justified? And so and I'm asking that question, and I'm looking for an answer. Hopefully there would be an unequivocal answer. There would be no conditions to it. But I'm point blank putting that question out there to the local black civil rights leadership. I'm also asking black liberal pastors such as Dr. Kevin Cosby, Dr. Corey Shaw, Dr. Bruce Williams. Hey, do you advocate, do you support, do you condemn, do you harshly criticize that kind of violent behavior? That's it. I'm not attacking them. I have my differences with them. They know I have my differences with them. But I also respect their position in the community and their authority. And I honestly want to know, do they condemn or do they support that kind of violence? Now, they may say, well, what are you specifically talking about? Here's what I'm talking about. Let's say, there's an anti-transgender person on campus or somewhere in the community giving a speech, and people are verbally abusive. They're very, very threatening. They hit the speaker. Do you support that, or do you condemn that? You think it's justified. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. Now, in my opinion, we know Dr. Ricky Jones would come up with some fancy way of saying, he thinks that kind of violence is justified. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope Dr. Ricky Jones says, hey, knucklehead, you're wrong. I think that kind of violent behavior is off the chain. It's wrong. And I don't want to hear him say, oh, but this is wrong too, this wrong. No, I'm talking about this one situation where if I was a transgender activist and somebody came on campus or came into the community or maybe a church, and they said, look, I don't think a man can get pregnant. I don't think a man can become a woman, and I don't think a woman can become a man regardless of whatever hormone treatments they take. They just saying things like that, and that's it. Can you unequivocally, look up that word if you don't know what it means, condemn that? I'm asking the Louisville Defender editorial board, flat out. Do you support it or do you condemn it? That's it. And I think it's important for us, average folks here in the community, to know it. If you want to ask me that question, ask me the question. Be more than happy to answer the question. You go to someone like a Dr. Albert Mohler, ask him that question. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer that question. You want to ask a retired pastor Lonnie Mattingly, ask him that question. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer that question. I have no problem with people protesting. I think that's great. Really, I think it's great. May not agree with what you're protesting against, or what you're protesting for, but I think it's fantastic. But when you start becoming verbally abusive and you physically assault people, or you try to physically intimidate people, and you break windows, no, that's wrong. And you can talk all you want about January 6th. Hey, I'm not asking about that. If you want to talk about that, we'll talk about that later, some other time. I'm talking about this specifically, when a person comes on campus and they're saying things that the transgender community doesn't agree with, they do not like. Do you think that they, the transgender community, their allies, whatever, are justified in being violent, engaging in violent behavior? Are they justified in engaging in violent, intimidating behavior? Do you think they're justified in making terroristic threats? Yes or no? That's all I want to know. And I'm point blank asking the what we call the civil rights leadership in the city of Louisville that question. Now, of course, I'm like a lot of people. I run at the mouth, so they may not want to say yes or no. If they have to say a paragraph or two, fine, but put it in writing and put it out there. And I'm saying this directly out of my respect for Dr. Kevin Cosby, Dr. Corey Shaw, Dr. Bruce Williams, Bob Russell, Dr. Albert Mohler. Out of respect, what's your position? Now, if you're saying, hey, Corbin, we want to see this video you're responding to, no problem. I mean, I put the scenario out there, but maybe you want to see the specific video. Hey, no problem. I'll show it to you. Just email me. I'll get it right to you. And anybody else for that matter. You let me know. I'll get it right out to you. I don't have a problem with it. But this is the issue I'm asking about, I'm talking about. We already know where I assume Dr. Ricky Jones, he would support that kind of violence. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Dr. Ricky Jones calls me out and demands that I apologize. As soon as he makes that statement saying, hey, you are wrong, I do not condone that kind of violence. I support free speech. I support the diversity of ideas. And you, Severs, are an idiot for stating my position is contrary to that. I'd be more than happy to say, sir, you're right, I'm an idiot, I was wrong. But, first put it in writing and say it unequivocally. Unequivocally. Say it. I'd love to be wrong in this situation. And I'd love to be able to have to show some integrity and say, hey, I was wrong, man. I apologize. And I'd be more than happy to take that written statement and boom, post it right there on my office wall. Folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. I am your host. Go to my website, booktalkwithcorbin.com. Hey, and if you make a donation to me of $20 or more, I'll give you a free hardback book by New York Times bestselling author David Horowitz.